Welcome back. It's game week 6 FPL family. It's your boy FPL Bisco. I am on 4 green arrows in a row and I am just chuffed that we're just getting green arrows every week. Everything's going to plan. The wild card's gone to plan. The bench boost has gone to plan. That everything's going well. And I've got 4 transfers in the bank. I couldn't have planned this any better if I tried. We've got some hits and some misses. So we're going to talk about some of the learnings we got from game week 5, some plans for game week 6, and a few of the transfer targets that we may or a few of the transfer targets we should be looking at. Stick with us. Make sure that you subscribe. Like 100 subscribers is just around the corner. So make sure you subscribe and I will see you in the next part of the video. Okay, so what have we got here? So last week I've made it into the top million. So we're 691k. We've done a fantastic job. I got 53 points last game week. I can't complain. I've got 4 transfers in the bank with 1.9 mil just left in the chamber. We'll start with the bench. I think the elephant, not even the elephant, the big shame on my name is that I didn't pick Stack versus Wolves. And something I'm going to preach going forward is just whoever's playing Wolves, if they're playing Wolves or West Ham, they play. It doesn't really matter who they are, whether they're in the attack, whether they're in the defense. It's just worth a punt. If you've got anyone that kind of has a difficult fixture, Wolves and West Ham right now are the ones. Not Sunderland, not Leeds. Maybe if you want to lead someone attacking versus Leeds, but Leeds will score some goals. We're going to talk about the cheaper options a bit later on. But yeah, I should have picked Stack. Who I would have picked him for, maybe it would have been a 6-point differential, but because I was going to pick someone that got 9 points anyway. That was the one I was like, do I start Stack or do I start Senesi? Do I start Stack? Senesi versus Newcastle. That was a bit of a problem for me. Anyway, De Kuyper got no points. I think that is just a bust for me. But because he's only 4.5 mil, I can't. It's not worth an upgrade. I'm not getting anything from it by going 4.5 to 4.5. He's on my benches. Maybe he'll turn up in form. It's been a big disappointment. Then we had Dewsbury Hall. No problem with a 1-pointer this week. I think he's going to start. He's got Wolves next week, I think. So he's going to come back in my team and he's going to get me loads of points. I won't make the same mistake twice. Dubravka with a 4-pointer. Burnley, I've got some things to say about Burnley, so we'll get onto that later. Vicario with a 1-pointer. They conceded 2 goals. I'm just not going to be mad at it. It was a difficult game. It is what it is. Spurs are Spurs. They go up and down. Charge it. Dan Burn, Senesi got massive 9-pointers. They got their bonus point. They got their defensive contributions. That's what they're there for. And the defensive contributions have really, really changed. Everyone, all the content creators have complained about it, but it's really, really changed the way that we pick defenders because they're not attacking anymore. Guys like Nori are not scoring goals. They're not getting assists. Munoz hasn't been getting too many forward attacking contributions. The one person that has plays for the worst defense in the league. So it's been Malik Diouf. So that's not been going well at all. So there's no attacking defenders or there's no attacking contributing defenders that we want in our team. So the defensive contributions are making a 2-pointer game from Van Dijk become a 4-pointer. And that puts me in a good position. And Munoz, the most attacking fullback or the most attacking defender I own, gets me a 2-pointer. Then we're looking into the midfield. So now Semenyo got himself the defensive contributions on not a bad day, but on a day he hasn't returned. Hasn't scored an open play goal in a while. I think it's been 3 games since Semenyo's had an actual, he scored a pen. That was about it. So maybe I do want more from Semenyo, but the fixtures are really nice coming up. Salah got himself an assist. Okay, no problem. I didn't captain him this week for a reason. Didn't think he was the best option, but he got put up something. Gakpo now at 7.6 million. I have been frustrated by the quality of his play, by the amount of chances that he creates. The assists that he had weren't high quality assists. He's blanked 3 games in a row. Liverpool kept clean sheets, which meant that he kept an extra point. But aside from that, he put up a whole bunch of nothing. The only thing is there's nobody to replace him. And Liverpool attack, somebody's going to contribute. But there's no, Ekitike is out now. They weren't going to rotate him anyway. And I think Slot was saying he's not playing him left mid. So there's nothing, there's just no competition in his place. Is Chiesa going to play here? Is he going to start the young boy and Gamoha? I don't think that's going to happen either. And then my attack, Mateta was a decent pick for captain. I'm a bit upset that he didn't get any bonus points. It's happened before, I'm sure, but I haven't seen it many a time where that by the goal scorer gets no bonus points. That's so frustrating. Yeah, Pedro's not going to score every week. I think it was a really difficult game versus United, a weird one. They took off all the attackers. Maybe I expected more from him, but it is what it is. And Watkins, let's just know that we're done. I'm not a theatric YouTuber, content creator. I'm not going to scream about how rubbish Ollie Watkins is. Just get him out my team. I'm not going to make any more of a scene of it. That's enough. I'm not even going to wait for the. I think they've got one more easy fixture after Fulham. I'm not even going to wait. Whatever Aston Villa do, good for you guys. I've jumped off. Who did I jump off? Nottingham Forest. There's no Nottingham Forest in my team. I've got no regrets. I'll have no regrets not having any Aston Villa. I might even pick players that are playing against Aston Villa to make sure that I can capitalize on the poor form. Like defenders versus Villa are now good options for me as long as they're playing the way that they are. I can't even. They're not taking enough shots. It's just poor. It's just overall. It's been quite poor. This is what my team looks like for next week. So Vicario's got Wolves. I've got triple Liverpool versus Palace, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. And then I've got double Palace versus Liverpool. So that's 5 of my players in one fixture. That cannot be sustainable, which means that I definitely have to get Gakpo out. How I'm going to replace Gakpo and Watkins will be out. How I'm going to replace them, I have no idea. Let me not say no idea. We'll talk for a couple of ideas. And because it is Man City versus Burnley, I think that just the way that Burnley play really fit, or it's a poor matchup for Man City's attack. I think Man City will pick them apart. So we do want to jump on Man City players for this game, and then we want to jump on Arsenal players for the next game. So I might just use 2 transfers this week, and then I'll use another 2 transfers next week to get the Arsenal assets in. If I only really need Man City assets for this week, if that makes sense. I could get them all in, but then I don't really want Arsenal assets for Newcastle. That's a really tricky fixture for Arsenal, so I don't want to get into that too much. I am looking at United assets as well, and I do want to discuss that triple captain. The triple captain more goes towards the City players, and then the United and Arsenal players go from game week 7 onwards. So if I look, firstly, this is everyone I want out and everyone I'm looking at bringing in. Ekitike's got himself the red card, which means that Isak is going to play. Not necessarily that he'll play 90 minutes. I'm sure Slot will find someone else to play up front or find some kind of way to not force Isak to play every minute of every game. If he does that, Isak's not the most durable of players at the best of times, so it wouldn't even make sense. So, but I do want Haaland, and if with these 2 players, with Gakpo and Watkins, it means that I'm going to have to get rid of maybe a 6 mil defender, or maybe even Salah. I might have to, if I really, really want Haaland that much, I might have to switch from Salah to Haaland. And this time last year, I did it the other way around. I switched from Haaland. I did it the same thing. I switched from Salah to Haaland, and Salah just didn't stop scoring. Salah has been putting up numbers, like it or not. So why? Maybe it might have been underwhelming, but he's been doing it. So I just have to steady the course. Gyökeres also is someone I feel when the fixtures start swinging and they become easier, there's no one challenging him up front. He's just free to play up front on his own. It's him or Marino, which we've seen in the Carabao Cup. And I don't think Marino's any competition for Gyökeres in that manner. He didn't score. He wasn't. I like him, funny enough. I like him up front, but I'm not going to pretend that he's an option. Gyökeres is the unchallenged number 9 at Arsenal. He's going to start every league game. He's going to take penalties, and they're going to create more chances. All their games for the next month are going to be in London. Not that they're all going to be at home. Fine, but Gyökeres is a good option. It's just even though it might seem like, it's not as good as we want it, as we would like it to be, he's not a real... There's question marks around him, but the quality is there. It's just, he just came to the league. There's not really a big problem. And then for us with Isak, is he going to do the job for us if we sign him? I don't know. The best striker in the game is Haaland. That's the one that we want. He's scoring every week. He's still not scoring in 2s and 3s, so we're not getting the massive hauls, but I'm willing to kind of like par the course with him. I really want to talk about United assets. Now, United have had the most big chances in the league. Brian and Mbeumo and Bruno have the highest XG, had the most expected goal, goal involvement. So that's like the combination of assists and goals. their next 5 fixtures, they've got Brentford, Sunderland, Liverpool is a tough one for sure, Brighton, Nottingham Forest. 4 out of those 5 fixtures are scoreable. Not necessarily winnable, but they're definitely scoreable games. I don't know if I'd be a smart man to say, I don't want these players. Now, if I'm going to downgrade from Salah, these are players that I'd really, really want. Fernandes, of course, I jumped off him because they're so frustrating. And I've said it so many times how frustrated United assets are. However, if we are following the numbers, the most threatening midfielders in the game by like a distance, I think it's Semenyo's after them. Fernandes takes the pens, takes the set pieces, and Burmo's open play threat is the best in the league. It's like this is not even up to my eye or anything like that. They get touches in the box, they get shots in the box, they take regularly all season, and because they haven't been winning games, it's even more credence to. Are we gonna say if you have a high XG and you've got a low output, then I most likely you're either really unlucky or you have bad technique. Like you're you're not a good technical player. I think Calvert-Lewin might be someone you'd accuse of being a bad technical player, like not being a good finisher. And Burmo is not that. He's a good technical player. So these things tend to even themselves out over the course of the season. Not that I'm saying Calvert-Lewin is a bad player at all. It's just that's what you'd accuse him of if you underperform your XG. If you overperform your XG, you'd be a good technical player. You have good technique. You drive the chances of scoring from that position up. And Burmo is a good pick. It's something I'm standing on, and I think that he might be as good of a pick as Salah at this time. Outside, I'm not even looking at Liverpool's fixtures like that, but it's just a thought. It's a controversial thought. I think at this time, with United being so bad, United have played Arsenal, Liverpool now, Chelsea. I don't know if United will play Liverpool. United have played Arsenal, they've played Chelsea, and I think they've played City already. So the toughest games outside of Liverpool are out the way. And after that Liverpool game, I think they're more or less, there'll be difficult fixtures along the way, but nothing crazy. They don't have any of the big guns anymore. So they just might have some overperformers or some high performers, maybe a Palace in there, whoever. And Burmo might be the one. He's one that I am favouring. It's just if the money is right. Like if I go from Gakpo to Burmo, that's a 5 million less or 5 million more than I'd want to spend. So that would mean I can't go to Haaland. It would mean I'd have to look at different Man City assets. Speaking of, so if we can't afford Haaland, Foden and Doku are the ones to go. So Foden's been returned. He's returned. He's in decent form. He scored in the Carabao Cup. I think he scored and got an assist in the Carabao Cup. He's scored versus United on his return. He's played his 90 minutes today, or in the Carabao Cup. He's played his 90 minutes versus in the last game. So he's doing okay. Started the last few games. His return is not a problem. There's not a lot of challenging players. You've got Oscar Bob still in the squad. But other than that, they're still kind of making do with what they have. It might be Bernardo Silva to play on the wing. It could be there's just not a lot of options. Andy can play centrally if they want him to do that. So if you play centrally alongside Reinders there's different combinations. Not that they'd use them. I'm not even going to pretend I know what goes on in Pep's mind. I haven't got a clue. Doku is also someone now. Nobody's confident in Doku, but he has been threatening. He's a really good ball carrier. He plays in the final third. He's the one that gets touches in the box. He's going to start. I assume he's going to start the next game or so. He is like a low shooter. Like he doesn't get points on the board. But of recent, he has been. And while their squad is low, if you do want to jump on Man City for the fixtures, it's worth a risk if you've got other top players because he's cheaper. Foden at 8 mil is someone you need to return. Doku at 6.4 mil is someone that you'd like to return. So if you just want to kind of cover, a lot of people have picked Reinders, which I think is a good pick. But I don't think he's a better pick than Doku. I would be shocked if he's got more. Even now, I'd be shocked if Reinders has more FPL points than Doku. I don't think Doku's had to start all the games to do that. So it's just a thought. Maybe Reinders would be the third pick. Then I'm looking at my Arsenal assets. So I have thought long and hard about this to say, okay, I'd want to jump on Arsenal defense. But because Arsenal defense are good, we say that they're the best defense in the league. They might be the best defense in Europe. The game is not tailored to Arsenal defenders. So if you do pick an Arsenal defender, more power to you. I get it, but you pick Gabriel. That would be the only one. But Gabriel doesn't get a lot of defensive contributions regularly. Now I've said it, I'm sure that he will in the next 3 or 4 weeks. He'll get the 10. No problem. He might even get it twice. But in general, they don't do a lot of the individual things that get you those extra 2 points. That may be a Dan Burn or a Senesi or an Anderson or even a Chris Richards and Gahey. They are in the weeds. I think there's a Van der Berg might be one of them at centre half. Collins, like there's centre backs that get these defensive contributions every week because they defend more. If you're in a team that has a lot of possession and you find ways to kind of just shut teams out where you don't have to make tackles, you don't have to make a lot of blocks because you don't let teams come into your box, how are you going to get those defensive contribution points up? So there's not a lot of value in the Arsenal centre backs. Now with the fullbacks, you'd say maybe it'll be Timber, Calafiori, but there's just competition for those places. And with European football coming around, like you're playing every 3 days at this point, how is that going to work? With Calafiori having an injury history, with Timber having an injury history, I don't love whoever does pick the Arsenal defenders will get points off them. So don't think that I am saying don't do it. It's a bad pick. You're going to get points off them, but it just might be a week that it's just not a good long-term plan. And I prefer long-term planning, which leaves me with these two. So I'm only going to invest in the Arsenal attack. I'm going to invest somebody. I've already said it before in the previous slide that Gyökeres is the one that I want. It's just, will it make sense for my team? If I can't get Gyökeres, then I'd look for Saka. Saka coming back, Madueke being out for 2 months means that Saka's just back in the starting lineup. I think he was always going to come back in the starting lineup, but now he's definitely back there. Will they rotate him with Eze, who they said can play on the right side of midfield? Will they rotate him with Nwaneri? Will they, like, they've got a few kind of options. Maybe they might start Martinelli or Trossard on the right as well. They can do those things. I haven't seen Arteta do it before. So I would assume that Saka will just be on the right for as long as he's fit. He hasn't necessarily looked that sharp though. Does it matter? Not necessarily. Eze now has put up the best data in the team after Madueke, so that you've got the most threat, most touches in the box. You've been the most creative. And Eze's done that already. Like his points are up there with the rest of they're above everyone else in less time. So Eze, I think, should, but because he's been dropped the last game, I don't want, funny enough, it's the same kind of risk as Bob. It's the same kind of risk as Foden in that anything could happen to these players. Now, I think now Arsenal players are just not that reliable in terms of, are they going to start? Are they going to play enough minutes? Only Gyökeres, I think, is unchallenged in his position, which is why I think he's the best Arsenal asset. But he might not be the best Arsenal player to have in your team just because he might not put up the same numbers. He might not get as many bonus points. He might not get as many multi-hauls as a Calafiori, who has the most shots in the Arsenal team, which means that Calafiori would be a great option to have. For a good defense, you could get a clean sheet and a goal in the same game. Of the top 10 highest pointed defenders, Calafiori and Timber are there because they had massive high scoring games and they get assists. However, in the games they didn't, they didn't get anything. It's a 2 point or 20. That's annoying. Maybe I think they should have had 6 pointers as well, but even that, I'm just like, you can get 8s. Why not 8s? You can get 9s. Why not 9s? Like, why does it have to be so extreme with them? So Eze, I think, will be, for a more budget option, 9.8 mil is a lot if you're not fully in belief that Saka will be the contributor and he will perform well. He will be as intense as he has been. And I'm not 100% sure that he's going to come back the same player as we're used to, which he puts up an assist every game. He puts up an assist or a goal every game where you can rely on him. Should be a good captain. Funny, he should be a good captain versus West Ham. Like an Arsenal player should be a captain next week, game week 7. But I'm not sure. So it's West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Sunderland. Yeah, I don't know. Who would you bet on? Like, who would you bet on for those 5 fixtures? Would it be Gyökeres, Saka, or Eze? And then obviously a good shout out to Martinelli, who scored like every other, for the last 2 games he's been in the team. Didn't score off the bench in the Carabao Cup, but it's not a problem. Or starting in the Carabao Cup, sorry. which is not a problem. He scored in the last 2 Prem games, but do I want to pay money for my super subs? Am I going to have to gamble on someone that doesn't play 90 minutes? No, no, that's not the brand that we're going for. But so those are the ones that I'm looking at in terms of my major picks. Then we look at the budget picks that we want. And I think a lot of these will be the enablers for the bigger signing. So if I make the upgrade to Isak from Watkins, then I'm going to have to make some money somewhere else. I'll have to sell Gakpo and then go down and keep some money in the bank. And these are some good players that I'm looking at. So Alderete or Mukiele for Sunderland. So they've got 3 DEFCON. They've hit DEFCON 3 times in a row. Any clean sheets, you're going to get the DEFCONs as well. And for both your defenders, or for 2 defenders to be regularly hitting that in one team, is phenomenal. You can get both. You could double up on Sunderland attack up, maybe not. Their attacking threat is equal, so they're more or less the same asset, which is kind of funny to see, but one of the 2 of them will be fine. Anthony, now, I've mentioned him in the last video, mentioning him again. Now, Anthony is a really, really good pick. He's the hub of everything that they Burnley do going forward. And he does, I don't think he's hit defensive contribution threshold yet in 12. He's hit 11 a couple times. I think he's a good pick. The Sunderland goalkeeper is, I think, the third. I think he's third in terms of points for goalkeepers. I think he's top 5 definitely. So, and Sunderland defend more than enough, like they do, but their defense is not bad. So Royce would be a good budget goalkeeper. If you want 2 starting goalkeepers, I'd say Royce would be better than Dubravka. And that's tight. Like Dubravka's quite a good backup goalkeeper if and whenever you need to use him. But I'd say Royce would be better. Calvert-Lewin is now the starting striker for Leeds, I believe. When he's fit, I like Calvert-Lewin a lot. From the neck up, best striker in the league. But Calvert-Lewin is a good addition to the Leeds attack. The goals that he scored, I can't remember who crossed the ball. It was a deep cross, great header. Like, he's one of the best aerial strikers in the league, if anything. Now that he's starting, they've got decent fixtures more or less. But was it Bournemouth, Spurs, Burnley, West Ham? There's goals in there for Leeds. It's just if he can stay fit would be one problem that we might have with him. But for 5.5 mil, I don't think it's problematic. I don't want to stick my neck out for Calvert-Lewin. I just feel like he's a good starting striker. Like, if you just need that third striker, he's as good of a pick to me as Muniz. Because I reckon Calvert-Lewin is more likely to play 90 minutes or 85 minutes or 80 minutes than Muniz is. Because Muniz will share the minutes. I can't remember the other Fulham striker's name off head. But where is it? I'm seeing his face, but it's fine. I think that Calvert-Lewin for 5.5 mil is a good pick. And I don't want him to, if he's going to get into form, now would be the time, basically. Youth now, he's got 3 assists, like, from left back. And he hasn't been getting the praise that he deserves individually for his attacking threat, because the defense of West Ham is so bad. So you're getting minus points plus the assist. So it's balancing itself out. But he's just a good pick. I reckon if West Ham do kind of sort themselves out, maybe they might have a manager change at some point, whatever it might be, to get that funk finished with, Juve would be perfect. And then we've got Lukic. So Lukic for Fulham. Fulham's fixtures are bad. But he's a 90-minute Sasa Lukic. Like, their fixtures coming up. Who have they got? I can't remember. But up until game week 10, their fixtures are like very, very scary. However, he's just one of the midfielders that does pose an attacking threat. Their expected assist is high. And it's the same as Stack. When someone's there playing the 90 minutes and they do contribute to the attacking phase of play, they do take 1 or 2 set pieces here or there, invest in them, and they will pay off at some point over a 6-week period. And if it makes sense for your team, just use them. Papi Sarr was one of those players. Sasa Lukic is another one of those players that they will put up something for Fulham because they're just good players that contribute. And he's a proper differential, 0.1% owned. I think, let's say if you had a wild card and you just want a 5 mil midfielder, that's a good option. If you have another wild card, you need a 5.5 mil, a cheap striker just to enable you to put money elsewhere. That's where players like Calvert-Lewin would be. Not necessarily that, oh, Calvert-Lewin is a top striker, you need him in your team. That's how I felt about Tien or Barry. That has not come to fruition. So I'm not saying go out and do it, but for that West Ham game, for Burnley and West Ham, it would be nice to have some Leeds. I've got stacked in my team, so that would be enough for me. But a Leeds asset won't go amiss. Some of these lesser picks are going to be quite useful for a lot of us. I think that's it. I'm not going to go into the big screen this week because I've kind of spoken for long enough. I had a lot to talk about. I need to chop this up. But I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you just subscribe before the end of the video. I will hope that I've got a decent team coming in for game week 6. So make sure you follow me on all the socials. It's all down below. I can see it now. It's all down below there. FPL Bisco and everything where you need it to be. And just hopefully the points chase you and you get all the points that you need. And lock in, man. Lock in. We're in game week 6. I'm going for 5 green arrows in a row. I'm so happy about that. So yeah, I'll see you later, man. Bye.